Yeah, everybody's here who's going to be here. So at 6:45, we will start.
Carol, question for you. Are you available on July 11th for potentially for a meeting? Oh, you're muted.
Okay. Yeah, no, I responded that I could do that if
You did.
you need it. Yeah.
Okay. So of who we have here, we have Joe. Bill, did you say, Bill, you were not available on the 11th, right?
Correct.
Okay, so no Steve, no Bill.
No,
But there's no meeting on the 4th, I assume, right?
No,
No meeting on the 4th.
And there's no meeting on the 18th.
Well, we do have a meeting scheduled for the 18th, and we would be just moving anything that would go to the 4th. We would be moving it to the 18th. But Kim Turner was asking if there was a way that we could squeeze a meeting in between for them for Frog Pond. So I'm just trying to see if the 11th would work, but we do have to make sure we have a quorum. So anyway, I'll just work on that. I'll keep working on whether or not that's a possibility, and I'll let you all know maybe that we make it work. If not, we may have to stick with the 18th. And
Can I ask a question before we get started? And you guys have probably all seen, there's been a couple stories in the paper that the city may go forward with the parks, but not the culvert work. And I think we had approved the work to shore up the boardwalk, the culvert. I don't even know exactly what that is, but has anybody heard anything more about how that will proceed, or does that come in front of us again?
so you're right. We did approve the culvert work as part of the Central Waterfront project. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And for a number of different reasons, which I'm not super familiar with, so I don't want to talk about them. They can't do that culvert project now. So, and they're doing the whole thing in phases anyway. So that would be part of a later phase of the project that we permitted. So it doesn't necessarily mean we have to change anything. It just means that they would be doing up to a certain point. They are going to be doing some work on, I believe, some utility work related to that culvert, but they're not actually doing the whole thing. So they would just be doing it in phases. It would all eventually get done the way it was permitted.
Okay, thank you.
All right, another minute or so. All right, it's 6:45. All right, let's bring this meeting to order. This is the June 20th, 2023 Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting. We're taking place on the Zoom platform, and this meeting's being recorded. The first item are the approval of the meeting minutes of June 6th. Anybody have any comments, questions, changes?
motion to approve.
Second.
All right, roll call. Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. So next item is Plum Island updates. Do we have any updates?
Okay, there was an MRBA meeting last Friday, was it last Friday or two Fridays ago? And it was a good meeting, talked a lot about Salisbury Beach, a little bit about Plum Island and getting the debris from the Coast Guard station off the beach. which is, we're still working towards getting the appropriate permits, or not, we are, DCR is working towards getting the appropriate permits to get that off the beach, hopefully under some emergency measures because it is a safety hazard. And not a whole lot else to report right now. Just
Nothing
mainly
about the
that.
jetty?
Nothing about the jetty. That's kind of out of our hands. That's sort of like with the legislative delegation and folks putting pressure on Army Corps at a much higher level, but that, I believe they are still doing that. And Army Corps is still planning on doing a study. Of course, they were going to do a study of the jetty and the causes of the erosion. We're just really encouraging them to not reinvent the wheel and to utilize the study that was already done by DCR, the Northeast Region Sediment Management Study. I think that's what it's called. But in any case, hopefully that will make the process faster and a little bit more efficient, but we don't have, I wish I had updates on it. I just don't. Army Corps was not present at the meeting to give us any updates.
Okay. All right, that's it.
But the plants that were planted out there on the dunes are looking good. They're turning green and getting stronger. So that's a little healthy little piece of the new sand area.
Every little bit helps.
Yep.
All right, then, on to certificates of compliance, etc. Lombardi Oil Company Incorporated, 14 Perry Way, request for determination.
Yes, Charity Simard is here. Charity, I'm promoting you to a panelist so that you can talk about this project. And this is a sort of drainage improvement project because there's a beaver dam issue blocking a culvert out on Perry Way. And they've come up with an innovative sort of environmentally friendly solution for how to deal with it. But I will let I'll let Charity give a brief summary of the problem and then the solution. Charity,
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
So we are located out on Perry Way in the industrial park, and we have a retention pond next door, and the pesky beaver has blocked the culvert that drains the retention pond, and it's flooding the street on Perry Way. So we are looking to build a beaver dam, a beaver deceiver, so that the water can flow through and the beaver can keep his happy home without flooding the street. That's what we're looking for approval for. It's kind of a wired structure, and it extends there's a pipe that extends out to the middle of the pond so that the culvert can drain at the same time as you can see the beaver backfills the pipe area, but it doesn't stop the flow of water. And this is to eliminate killing the beaver.
So I was wondering if we even had jurisdiction over this.
I don't know. I think that the fellow there is a professional who builds beaver deceivers, and he said that I did need to get a permit. So we've kind of filed through this process to get that approved.
Yeah, have you contacted Mass Fish and Wildlife? Because they might have an opinion and something to say.
No, nope.
I mean, we could do whatever we need to do, but I think they might have the final say. I'm not sure. Because beavers they're a protected species.
They are protected. We have, we had an option to, we could kill the beaver. We can get a permit to have a trapper come and kill the beaver. Our feeling about that is that they've built a house. This is not their house, but they've built a house. So even if we have a trapper kill the beaver, we feel like there's other beavers that are going to come invade his home. So we're just trying to eliminate the problem without just killing the beaver.
Yeah, and beaver deceivers work fairly well, I think, too. If
Yeah.
So just getting rid of that sound of the rushing water, the beavers chill a bit. And it stays at about the same level too, right?
Yes, I mean, we're experts. We're really knowledgeable on the beavers.
Mhm.
This is something I found on Beaver Deceiver system from the Maine Department of Fish and Wildlife. And I couldn't find something similar for Massachusetts, but I'm assuming this also, which was developed in Vermont, and Vermont has also had it sort of, it's approved by their Fish and Game. Assuming that Massachusetts would thereby do the same, but maybe it would be a good idea just to have your the contractor confirm that with you, that Massachusetts is on board with this system as well.
Okay, so as far as you guys are concerned, just kind of leave it as is. Is that,
Yeah.
I just
well,
said, we're trying to find a solution, because like, as of today, the road's flooded down Perry Way. So we're just not sure exactly, what to do. So we're trying to find the right solution of what to do without, like today it's flooded. So if it keeps raining, we're gonna lose access to the road. So
How long does it take to put one of those systems in?
it's quick. It's basically just a wire structure that's put, what you're looking at right there is part of a beaver deceiver, but they'll build a little bit of a more formal structure around it so that it's sturdier, basically. And this is a picture of what we have right now. This is all the debris. We've been digging that out every day just to keep the culvert active.
So this is a picture of it right now,
That's it. Yep. Mhm.
and so is that blocked on the left there?
It's blocked all the way around that pipe, that plastic pipe, culvert pipe that you see goes into the middle of the pond.
Yeah.
So what the beaver deceiver, we kind of built this just to keep the flow going, but the professional beaver deceiver builds a bit of a wooden structure that goes around this to keep all the beaver builds up against it, but it doesn't actually get to the pipe.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have an issue.
I don't mind giving the go ahead on this, but I do think you ought to contact Mass Fish and Wildlife and make sure you're not going to get in trouble for doing it.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
it might be easier to ask forgiveness than permission.
Right. Well, we're just, we just want to be sure it's okay locally. The beaver deceiver fellow, he's actually from Vermont, the fellow who developed the beaver deceiver. And he said we need to go through the Conservation Commission to get the okay, so.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I know DPS is, I think they put one in on Hale Street down near the old I-95 roadbed. I think there was an issue there, and I'm pretty sure there's something in there. I remember something going in there.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm fine with this. I don't have an issue with it.
Could you explain a little better what the construction involved in this is? I mean, I understand, what is it, just putting this little fence I see, fence type structure around the outlet? Is it?
Yes, it is essentially what's built there is sort of the do-it-yourself job, but they actually build 2x4s that the beaver doesn't eat because they don't eat dead wood. And then they just attach the metal fencing to this. So the beaver hears the rushing water, but can't get to the rushing water. So it drains sufficiently. So it looks a lot like that picture with just wooden frame. It's just a neater version of it. And when we built that, we actually didn't know we needed approval. So that was kind of a do-it-yourself job.
Yeah,
That's the formal looking picture, pretty picture right there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these things work pretty well too, so.
Yeah.
So, anybody else have questions or comments or concerns? Yeah,
Okay.
anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to issue, I think it's a -2 determination.
Yeah,
Second,
all right, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes,
David Vine,
Yes,
Carol Wagon,
yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right. Thank you, Charity.
Thank you very much. Have a
Yep.
great one.
Yeah, you too.
You-
All right, can I get a motion to open the public hearings?
So
so
moved.
moved.
Second,
Roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes,
David Vine,
yes,
Carol Wagon,
yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, first item is Kim Turner, City of Newburyport, 149 High Street, notice of intent. I don't know that we have anybody here for them tonight, do we?
No, I don't think so. And I think because right now we don't have another meeting scheduled until July 18th. It would have to be continued officially to July 18th, and then we can try to schedule a special meeting earlier than
Okay.
that, but
Yeah, so why don't we do that?
yeah, I'll make a motion to continue to July 18th.
I'll second. Roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes,
David Vine,
yes,
Carol Wagon,
Yes,
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, next. Next is Newburyport Manager LLC, Zero Bronze Wharf, notice of intent.
okay, it looks like Chris Steve is here. Chris, I'm gonna promote you to panelist. And then you can give a brief presentation. I don't know if, I think Paul Avery is not available tonight, is what I remember. But okay, so wait, I don't see
All right, where's Chris?
Chris. He was on. Not on anymore. I promoted him to a panelist. If anyone is here representing the project, could you raise your hand?
Oh, well, there's, okay. Did you promoted the telephone?
I'm looking at the telephone wondering who that is, so I allow them to talk. If they want to speak, they are able to right now. They can unmute themselves, but I don't see anyone listed.
No, I think
Funny,
Chris,
because Chris was here a second ago.
yes.
come back to them.
Yeah,
Yep, we're gonna need to, we'll table Browns Wharf, and we will move on to Peter Brandt, 5 Gloria Street, notice of intent.
okay. For this one, we have Tom Hughes. I'll also make Peter Brandt a panelist. And let's see. All right. So Tom. I wonder if I'm just losing people. No, okay, Tom's here.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Tom.
Tom Hughes on behalf of Peter Brandt for 5 Gloria. So 5 Gloria is actually, if it's okay, can I share my screen?
Oh, you're muted, Julie.
Go ahead, Tom. Sorry about that.
Okay, thanks. All right, so Five Glorious is a two-story addition going on in an existing house, as well as a deck expansion, and part of it also involves removal of a shed / greenhouse in this area. So this is the lot. It's the second lot in on Gloria Street on the left or on the north side. Give you an idea of where that is on Plum Island as a whole. So you can see the existing home is located out of the floodplain. There is a little bit of AE9 that comes into the site, but we're not proposing any kind of structure work there. We are proposing removal of a little bit of Japanese knotweed and putting in some native vegetation in that area. Here's a view from the south. You've got the house kind of located in the front left corner, or the southwest corner of the lot. You can see this sort of large shed / greenhouse area that is right next to the building. There's a deck on the back. You can also get this view, and these are April 2023 photos, so you can really see, good detail of kind of what's out there right now. There's a big sand area out here where they hang out and enjoy, a big kind of, parking area here in front of the shed, the building. So they'll be doing a two-story addition, and then they'll be extending this deck and actually partially reconstructing and possibly entirely reconstructing the deck once they get into it. So we've shown the details on the site plan with the deck being entirely reconstructed. So let me zoom out on this a little bit. So you can see the existing front elevations, and then the exterior elevations, and then I'll show you the proposed. So the proposed, you can kind of see how that addition kind of fits on. And then you can see, let me see if I can get a better view of that. So you can kind of see you've got the addition, and then you've got the deck right next to it. The existing solid foundation is not going to change. The exterior deck and the addition work. So the addition work and the deck work will all be supported by piles. And we've shown pile locations there. The existing foundation will remain. We provided you with a letter from a structural engineer showing that that's adequate to support the existing house. And then the addition and decks are all going to be pile supported when done. It's relatively simple. We increase vegetative cover mainly through removal of that shed and tidying up some of the unvegetated areas on site by about 180 something square feet. Again, it's a fairly straightforward project, not located in the floodplain, located near the AE9, but in a back dune environment on the back side of the island.
How about the 50% construction cost requirement?
Well, it's not located in the floodplain. And so if you go through the regs, and I provided a write-up in my narrative, and actually let me turn to that.
Essentially, David, it's the 50%, 50% rule would apply. We would ask for that kind of an analysis done on this project because there is so much renovation work going on, and you're correct. And it doesn't matter where on Plum Island the structure would be. We would have to go up on pilings if it was substantial improvement, except we do have this exception for if you're outside of the V zone and the AO zone, and a structural engineer certifies that the existing solid foundation can remain, then that can remain. But any new additions to obviously still have to be elevated. But we changed it. It used to be that anywhere on the island, you could have a structural engineer certify your solid foundation and you could leave it. But now it's only outside of the V and the AO zones.
Right, and if you looked at pages 5 and 6 of my narrative, I actually walk you through that section. But essentially it leads you to confirming that, we're not removing so much of the exterior walls and that the existing foundation can support the existing building. And because it's not in the VE and the AO zone, but just the lateral expansion has to be POW supported. So, I mean, it's relatively straightforward then, once you take the substantial improvement thing and you address that with respect to performance standards. We're removing the shed from the lot. That's mainly because recently the zoning interpretation has now included that basically if it's a structure with a roof, under most circumstances, it counts towards your FAR. So from a zoning point of view, I believe that had to come out.
Tom, can you go back to the aerial views?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the view from the west, if you could blow that up a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so there's
Let me
there's
just
a
do-
roofed structure there now on the back.
Right.
Is that all going up or is it just part of it?
No, so the 2-story addition, so look at this, sort of how you've got this here, and then we'll go to the architectural views. So this is
Okay.
the existing structure, deck here, right? And then shed coming out. So here is the existing structure, and then you've got this two-story addition that kind of goes
But it's not covering the entire roof line right there.
Oh,
It's
there it
just
is.
No.
that,
Okay, got it.
Okay, all right, I see.
Yeah, so it's, it blends into the building in a way that, so it kind of architecturally looks intact, but it's not, when you look at here's your existing building, here's our addition. Right.
And there's an additional deck to the right of that addition?
The
Or-
additional deck, yeah, there's additional deck that will go around the addition and extend this deck out. But we're removing so much of this stuff here
Yeah,
that we make up for it with the vegetation, and there's a table. I think so we're increasing, by removing knotweed, we're increasing native vegetation, but just the general vegetative count increases by, 181 square feet. But when you include, we're getting rid of 693 square feet of knotweed, and then just regular sort of overgrown lawn grass, we're getting rid of 462. So in terms of an environmental benefit, aside from the dune performance standard, there's a more significant vegetative benefit. In terms of the dune performance standard, does knotweed really perform a lot of dune function? Maybe it performs some, but the lawn grasses don't perform much. So we are improving dune function in addition to that, 181 square foot, which would seem like a modest, increase, but it's pretty significant in terms of ecologically getting rid of knotweed, and there'll be improved dune function.
and is all the native vegetation you're planting dune grass, or is there going to be some shrubbery or?
So we do have some red cedars going in and some bayberry, and then the rest would be American peach grass. And then we're replacing grass and landscape area with a common juniper and rush. So it's going to go, we're really making it more native. And I do expect with just about everybody, once they get underway and under construction and the project begins to kind of come together, people then look at things and they think of the outdoor space more. It's hard to conceive of how the outdoor space looks until you see your house shaping up. So would it surprise me if we come back in and said we want to plant more shrubs or more trees or, you know, adjust things? Not at all, but the current concept does include a lot of woody vegetation and some good changes to the landscape.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have much. Anybody else have?
Is there a DEP number?
Yes, DEP has issued a number and no comments, at least as of this afternoon.
Okay.
Tom, what is that DEP number? Because I didn't check today. I didn't see it.
Give me a second.
It is 051-1073.
Yep,
Thank you.
and still no comments.
Okay.
So I assume all this is 2 feet above grade.
Yes,
Even the existing
There
deck
is
out
a-
there now.
yeah, there is a profile shown right here, and here's the ground level, you know, existing deck. So I think it's got the clearance.
Okay.
So wait, but let's zoom. I always find it hard with these grid lines.
So this is, the ground is elevation 13, the bottom of the deck is shown at 16. So it's 3 feet
Yep.
based on
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we still have to make sure lowest horizontal member is at least 2 feet above grade for the
Right.
addition. And no lattice or other. sort
Right.
of structures around there.
Yeah, those are shown, it's shown as open, except, you know, the existing building, obviously, with the solid foundation.
So then, except for that part that already exists, it's all gonna be up on piles?
Yeah, yep.
And there is quite a lot of sand and sort of bare area already around that site. So hopefully this might end up in an improvement in terms of vegetation.
Yeah, it is, you know, it is an increase in vegetative count. They still want to keep the fire pit sand area where they currently sit, because it's, you know, and frankly, if we plant it, it'll form over the years again, right? So it's better just to have that area defined.
Okay.
Is that area going to be defined at all by cobbles or anything, or is it just?
No, right now it's just gonna kind of stay the same it is. You know, if you wanted to put a condition that would allow them to edge it with cobble. But that is, you know, they're a young couple trying to afford some pretty significant renovations, so I wouldn't want to
Yeah, sure.
put that cost on them, but if they're willing to do it and want to do it, if you put that condition in there, then they could choose to do it if they want.
Is the driveway changing at all, or is that staying the same?
It's being cleaned up a little bit. We're gonna plant around here. If you look at those aerials, you know, the existing condition survey doesn't really do it justice, but when you go back to the aerials, you can kind of see. Oh, this is a little dark, but there's just kind of stuff everywhere in there. And when you look at this, you can kind of see it. I mean,
Is that a fence around the, that's a fence there? Around the sandy area?
yeah, actually, it does look like there's an existing fence back in there.
The site plan does talk about the existing fence.
Okay.
And the plan was to leave that and not touch it. You know, it certainly looks like it's been there a while.
That an
Yes.
open fence? It looks like it's open?
No, that's a sort of a privacy, because they're sitting here
Oh, I
enjoying
see.
themselves, and this is wide open to the main road out here. So they do get quite a bit of privacy out of that, and that has been there, like I said, that it certainly is well worn and well aged.
Yeah, yeah, so if any additions are made, they need to be 50% open and
Right, yeah, no new fence, any replacement would have to meet your fence guidelines.
Yeah.
Uh,
just thought I'd say that out loud.
Thank you. I'll put that as a special condition.
Yeah, that's fine.
What kind of tree is that that's right there by that fence? Do you know? No,
The
up by,
deciduous.
up by the-
Oh,
up by-
this,
yeah,
I don't know, I did not key that out.
okay,
There's no plans to touch that.
all right.
So northern catalpa.
What is it?
Northern catalpa.
Okay. Thank you.
Which is actually a great pollinating tree.
Okay. So do we have anything else?
I'm okay.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Raise your digital hand if so. Seeing none. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Steve Moore,
Yes,
David Vine,
yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes,
Bill Mullen,
yes.
and I vote yes. All right, thank you, Tom.
Thank you. If your other parties have not joined you, do you have another hearing, or are you gonna go into close an issue?
No, we're gonna go, we have a couple more hearings. Chris
Okay.
Skiba is back and we're going to attempt to bring him over to discuss.
All right, no, fair
Newburyport.
enough. So we'll wait for the closing issue towards the end. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. All right, so let's move back to Newburyport Manager LLC, 0 Brown Wharf. Notice of intent.
Okay,
Let's see if we can get Chris Skiba here.
all right, Chris, hang on. I'm going to, don't hang up or anything. I'm going to promote you to panelist. And you'll be able to. All right,
Oh, that looked like it worked.
all right, I hope so.
Could
Let's
you
see.
demote Peter Brandt so we can?
Yes. Okay, now let me try to find the right. We skipped to 5 Gloria. We really are on the goat. All right, Chris, do you want to give us a presentation here? I've got all of the, documents, the plans, etc. You can just give the commission sort of a brief overview of what is proposed here.
Oh, okay. Paul Avery's not on?
I don't see Paul. I think you
No.
had told me that Paul was like away this week, right?
Okay. Well, I can take you through it. I'm not going to have the expertise that Paul has on any of this.
Do
He,
you want to
yeah.
wait and do you want to wait for Paul? Our next meeting though isn't until July 18th.
Also, if there's no DEP number yet, we normally wouldn't close the hearing. So
Is true.
Yeah.
if you don't have one, we're not
Oh.
going to be closing.
Is there a DEP number?
There is not.
No.
No.
So we can't do anything about it tonight anyway.
oh,
Of course.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have Paul here anyway. He knows everything in detail about this, so.
Yeah,
Okay, so,
especially
yeah,
given
so-
that there's a lot of engineering type issues with the
Yep.
seawall and the bulkhead.
Okay, so we'll just continue to the, what is it, the 18th?
Yes.
All right, well, we can do that.
Is it
Okay.
appropriate to ask at this point, Chris, about the Captain Joe's and the status of their report about DEP?
I don't know that we should. I think, well, with that question, Chris can send something to Julie and she can share it. I don't know that we should be discussing it
Okay,
right now.
that's why I asked.
Isn't that's an open NOI, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's actually closed. I mean, it has an order of conditions. They just
It
haven't
does.
been able to reestablish, but they don't apparently want to reestablish that this summer either. So that's less relevant at this point.
Okay. So why don't we move on? Well, let's do our continuance.
Need a motion to continue?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call, Steve Moore,
yes.
David Vine,
Yes,
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
yes.
and I vote yes. All right, well, so goes life. We'll move on to the next one.
All right,
And,
thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Thanks, bye.
Okay, and last but not least, we have Megan Shave, Mass Department of Conservation and Recreation, 74 Curzon Mill Road, notice of intent.
Okay,
There's
so
Megan.
let's see. Yep, I'm gonna have to move you guys over. Believe it's Naomi, or is it Megan? I'll move Megan. If anyone else is here who wants to present or speak to this, yeah, I
Oh,
thought so,
well.
okay. Yeah. All right, great. So let me pull this up. All right, Megan and Naomi, you maybe want to sort of walk us through what you're proposing here. And I have your documents that I can display. Here's a map of the project area. But why don't you guys give us a quick overview?
Okay, I can start. Good evening. My name is Megan Shave. I am a senior inland ecologist with the Office of Natural Resources at Mass DCR. And tonight we're presenting a project that's part of our regional invasive plant management at DCR. So starting back in 2017, DCR did a series of regional invasive management plans to help us in allocating our resources and targeting our invasive plant management to areas and state-owned properties that we found to be particularly ecologically sensitive. And so how we did that as part of the planning process, we prioritized state parks and reservations based on whether they had rare species habitat, ACECs, priority community, priority natural communities, as well as the different biomap 2 priority communities. And based on that ranking for the North region, Maudsley State Park in Newburyport has ranked highly. And based on that, we are looking to incorporate it into our ongoing invasive plant management contract. So we are partnering with SWCA to secure our permits and carry out this management activity. And so with that, I will turn it over to Naomi with SWCA to go into the NOI we're presenting tonight.
Thank you, Megan. Naomi Valentine from SWCA, like Megan mentioned, supporting DCR's presentation for a notice of intent for invasive plant management at Maudsley State Park. Just right off the top, I wanted to mention that we did receive a Mass DOP file number. It's 0511072. And we are still waiting for a response from Natural Heritage, but worthwhile to present to you all anyway, I'd say. So we are submitting this as an ecological restoration limited project because the work is limited to invasive plant management only, which is one of the other categories under an ecological restoration limited project. And the interest of the act that it's looking to enhance is wildlife habitat enhancement by creating space for native vegetation and reducing the further spread. Creating space for native vegetation and reducing the spread of invasive vegetation. Hopefully I didn't flip-flop those accidentally. And you can see from the map here, the red are the invasive plant populations that have been mapped. Some of those polygons are rather skinny, so they're difficult to see all of them. But you can sort of tell just from this overview, the fact that the park itself is 370 acres and the effective invasive plant management areas total about a half acre, only a quarter acre being within jurisdictional wetland areas, that it's not in too bad of shape. So on top of the reasons that Megan had listed, this is a fairly good candidate to try to eradicate. There's a good chance of eradication of invasive plants here on this project site. So as you all know, I'm sure this is located in the northwesternmost corner of Newburyport, and it actually does house one of the largest naturally occurring populations of mountain laurel in the Commonwealth. Interestingly, there's also a lot of other really great native vegetation, very well-established forested areas. And as you might imagine, a lot of those invasive plant locations are along some of the more well-traveled paths and intersections of forested area and open area. The resource area is located within the project area, our bank, BVW, riverfront area, bordering land subject to flooding. And we also went ahead and we observed and surveyed 4 areas throughout the park that seemed like they could be potential vernal pools, 2 or 3 of which were actually labeled by Heritage as potential vernal pools. And we're in the process of certifying 3 of them. You can see those as the blue line fill polygons on the map. And the disturbance within those areas is just over 1,700 square feet within BVW, just over 1,500 square feet in bordering land subject to flooding, 2,000 in riverfront area. And there is some slight impact within the associated buffer zones. There's only one invasive plant. It's a multiflora rose plant that's right on the line of one of those vernal pools. Other than that, they're only in that 200-foot setback. The invasive plants that have been located on the site include Japanese knotweed, autumn olive, Japanese honeysuckle, Japanese barberry, Asiatic bittersweet, multiflora rose, Phragmites or common reed, burning bush, Norway maple, and leafy spurge. And we included, because invasives are dynamic, all plants are subject to change and can move around with animal activity and other dispersal methods. The management plan is submitted as sort of an adaptive management plan. So you may have noted there's both a fairly thorough table that outlines the different types of management approaches that might be taken, as well as a decision tree, which is submitted to help the commission understand how DCR would make a decision about what methods for what invasive plants to use. And it's organized by both the type of plant, whether it's vine, if it's woody, if it's herbaceous, and also the method in which it spreads, because those are the 2 factors that really indicate management technique. And so the least impactful management technique will always be the chosen application, but that is predicated by the understanding that it needs to be a management method that would be effective for that plant. And so the decision tree, which I think was right before this, Julia.
Oh, is it this one?
That's fine. It'd probably be hard to read on the screen anyway, but
is it part of the notice of intent itself?
It is,
within
yes.
that document. Okay, let me go
it's in this appendix, but essentially just lays out who might be conducting the invasive plant management, because some of these things can be performed by volunteers and with the oversight of skilled managers or DCR ecology staff. And some of them would need to be contracted out to folks that have more specific licensure, like herbicide application licensure, or expertise in that invasive plant. But that is the long and the short of the project. Hopefully I haven't been droning on for too long. Be happy to answer any questions. Have any discussion about the methods of management.
Okay, I spend a lot of time out there. And I just wanted to make sure there's one particular area that has a lot of Japanese knotweed, and I think you've identified it, but I just want to be sure. I don't know if you know what's referred to as Helen's, where Helen's house was.
I'm not familiar. I'm not sure if
Okay.
Megan is.
Well, if you
There
see
are
where
a handful of populations of Japanese knotweeds.
Yeah.
A couple of them are pretty sizable that were mapped.
Well, if you see where the red dot is at the end of where it's labeled as Curzon Mill Road,
Mm-hmm.
and if
Right
you
here?
follow that road down towards the river, no, in the park,
Oh,
down, yeah, keep going, keep going, keep going, and then turn to the right. Those two dots that are there together. Do you know if that's Japanese knotweed? Can you tell, or do you know?
Let me look really quickly.
I think it possibly could be, as certainly we have in our ArcGIS maps, they are mapped to species. But I think I know the area you might be talking about. It's near one of the intermittent streams.
Yes,
I
and there's
know, yes.
a bridge over it.
Oh,
Yes, so
yes,
yes,
that
there
is
is
mapped.
not, yes.
Okay, because there's a lot of
It's
white
knotweed.
trillium in there, which the Japanese knotweed is not helping at all.
So yes, that crossing there that goes over the intermittent stream, yes, those
Yeah.
points are the knotweed.
Okay. And then the two large red areas that are near the two fields up near Pine Hill Road, what's the species that's there? Do you know?
I believe those are, at least one of them's autumn olive. So
Okay,
there's a big swath of autumn olive sort of near the tree line, and then just off the path, kind of in the middle of the field, there's a couple trees, and that's surrounded by autumn olive as well.
And that sort of funky shaped one on the left is a leafy spurge, and then the other one includes autumn olive, but is also a mapped population of leafy spurge, which is sort of all over a sloped area.
okay. And then the only other comment I have is you mentioned that the park was 370 acres. I believe when it was purchased, it was 480 acres, and they've added to it
Oh, is that right?
since then.
These two
Um,
parcels together, I believe, add up to 370. Maybe it's possible that there's a parcel I've not included.
Well, I happened to run into the park interpreter last night when I was out there and confirmed with her what the acreage was. And she said 480 plus whatever they've added to it.
Oh, all right,
So-
good to know.
And the only reason I mentioned is because somewhere in the NOI, you talked about percentage of the land was you're affecting. So
Mhm.
this would not, I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but you'd have a smaller percentage.
It would be even less, so.
It would be, yeah.
Okay.
And that was mostly relative to probably natural heritage areas and riverfront area, I would imagine.
One question I have is, and this may be more for you, Julie. Isn't glyphosate banned in Newburyport?
it is on city-owned property.
City-owned property, okay.
Yeah, but in addition, but yes, so this is state-owned property, except that, as you can see, we've got the water supply protection area. Part of these invasive removal areas are in the zone 2, and I also believe like the zone B. So have you spoken with the water department about your methods in those areas?
We have not spoken to the water department, but I did review, well, we should reach out to them. But because glyphosate does have such high affinity for soil, it's not on the state's list for anything that would potentially be affecting of groundwater supply. It doesn't have the capacity to mobilize in soil in that way, but worthwhile to reach out and let them comment.
Yeah, I would do that because we do have some pretty strict standards about what can be used. And in other parts of the city within our water supply protection areas, we don't allow glyphosate to be used or other chemical herbicides. So I would just check with them just to make sure if there's an option to do mechanical removal or
Sure.
some other sort
And
of.
there's so few problematic species that overlap. Problematic meaning like really you kind of need to use herbicides in order to eradicate them. With that area, I don't think that'd be a problem. I probably shouldn't speak for Megan, but I think DCR would probably be fine with that being a condition.
Yes, and I believe that area, if I recall, sort of towards the end of the gas pipeline there was mostly the woody invasives.
It was, and they're all very
Yes.
small.
Yes, so one off, I think probably the biggest thing in that area, there is a tangle of climbing bittersweet. But again, if we need to, we can still cut it at the base, you know, and either cut stem treatment if we're allowed, but if not, we can always just cut that bittersweet. And then the rest, as Naomi said, they're pretty small woody invasives, so they could be treated manually or mechanically with pulling.
Okay.
So this is a 5-year plan, is that correct?
Yes, that was the request.
Okay. So if, for instance, Japanese knotweed is rather difficult to get rid of.
It is.
So you would come back every year and retreat whatever ever happened to grow.
Right, combination of cutting and management and sort of making it use up all of its energy reserves before a selective herbicide application is the best method. And when you do that effectively, assuming it's not, you know, spreading all over the place, it's feasible to manage within that 5-year. Could be even less if you can get out there at the right timing.
Yeah. Well, I'm very glad you may have 3 vernal pools there too, because I certified all the other vernal pools in town, and I'd like to see some more be found by somebody. And there's, so you think there's one like right across from the parking lot area?
Yes,
there-
so one
there
of
is.
them, yep, it's
is? Okay.
behind, kind of behind, I think that's by the headquarters there. Yes, it's kind of, it looks like it might have been an irrigation pond at some point, but when we surveyed it in May, we found wood frog tadpoles and other evidence to support submitting it for certification.
That would be fairly good evidence.
Yeah.
Cool,
I've seen wood frogs in there, so.
very good.
And I've heard them in the other 2 that you've defined, so.
Oh, you've heard him over there too?
Yeah.
Steve's out there a lot.
You'll be the best monitor.
Mhm.
Yeah, and on that, that patch of Japanese knotweed that I mentioned near the bridge, is there a way to get in there and not disturb the white trillium that's in there? Or,
I think so, because the stems are separate enough that if you cut it and do some sort of stem application I mean, you can never guarantee, I suppose, but really should not have any impact on anything around it.
okay.
Short-term loss for long-term gains.
Yeah, but there's hardly any white trillium out there, so you don't want to lose what little
Oh,
you've got.
okay.
And I've never seen it anywhere else, so.
Yeah, it really should be feasible. Those are fairly manageable, those 2 patches.
All right, do we have anything else? I'm not hearing anything, so I will ask the public if they have anything to say. Raise your hand. Peter, Grant, if you want to say something, Grant, if you want to say anything, but otherwise, I think we're good. Anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second. Roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
yes,
And I vote yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
All right, that is everything right now. You got a motion to close the public hearings?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, Steve Moore,
yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Bill Mullen.
yes,
I vote yes. All right, we have 2 orders of conditions. First one is 5 Gloria Street, Peter Brandt.
So for 5 Gloria Street, we would use our standard Plum Island special conditions, which include things like no soils or mulches may be used, for landscaping, only approved beach grade sand, etc. No disturbance of vegetation. Any vegetation disturbed must be replaced with native plants suitable for the Plum Island environment, that kind of thing. And then the special conditions that you all mentioned during the hearing were that the area beneath the deck and new addition shall be left completely open, no lattice or other such enclosures shall be allowed. The sand area serving as patio and fire pit may be bordered by cobbles in the future if the applicant desires. No new fencing is approved under this order of conditions. Any new fencing on site in the future shall adhere to the Plum Island fence guidelines. And that was all I heard.
Shirley, is the 2 years of growth in the standard conditions?
That is in the standard conditions. I actually brought up, let's see if I have it here. I meant to bring up, maybe, hold on a sec. Special conditions, potential special conditions for, where is it? Hold on one sec and I will grab it. It's just here they are, Plum Island special conditions. Actually. Here. So can you all see this Plum Island standard special conditions?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is typically, this whole group is what I would put in any Plum Island order of conditions at some level. Sometimes certain ones of these don't apply and I might leave them out. But in general, these are the ones that would be put in for any project. So the lowest horizontal member shall be at least 2 feet above grade, etc. And now that would be specific to the new addition and renovations to the deck. No lattice or other enclosures shall be installed around the deck and new addition pilings, periodic sand removal from the driveway area, etc. So these are our special conditions, and included in here is that plantings shall be monitored for 2 growing seasons in order to guarantee that at least 90% survival before issuance of a certificate of compliance. And then in addition to basically all of these, I would add the 3 that we just discussed.
Okay. We all good with that?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Then let's have a motion.
Okay, motion to issue the order of conditions for 5 Gloria Street or 3?
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
All right, roll call, Steve Moore,
yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
yes.
and I vote yes. Okay.
Thank
Now,
you. Have a great night.
Yes, sir, you too.
Thank you.
Next one is Megan Shea, Mass Department of Conservation and Recreation, 74 Curzon Mill Road.
Yes, okay, so for that one, really, there's only one special condition that I heard, which is that no glyphosate or other chemical herbicide may be used within the city's water supply protection districts. Otherwise, I think,
The only one I might add would be to make every effort to not disturb the white trillium when they're getting rid of the Japanese knotweed.
okay. What do we say? Existing white trillium within the treatment area shall be protected and preserved if at all possible.
Okay,
To the
Besides
extent
herbicide and
To the extent possible.
you had mentioned something about coordinating with the water department, just to
Oh,
make
yeah.
sure nothing.
Yep, good one. Applicant shall contact the Newburyport Water Department or Division of Water or DPS Water Division prior to start of work and present application materials prior to start.
Should we put something in there that Steve should be out there at all times supervising?
Yeah,
depends on when they do it.
He'll be there anyways, so.
You,
He could help pull some weeds.
Well, actually, I have pulled some right in that area I was talking about. If you want to see the mountain laurel, it was a spectacular year this year, and it still is pretty good if you get out there tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, the little one that I have that half died last year during the drought is totally exploding right now.
Yeah.
funny, I have one and it's doing the same thing, but so many of my other plants are not happy.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's going out there. I'll have to get out there. All right. We didn't vote on this. Do we vote on this?
You need to
No.
vote on it.
Okay. Motion, please.
Motion to issue the order of conditions for 74 Curzon Mill Road.
second,
All right, roll call. Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
yes,
Carol Wagon,
Yes,
Bill Mullen,
yes,
and I vote yes. All righty. Thank you,
Motion to
Megan.
close the public hearings.
Oh, they were already closed.
Well, we got to close something here.
Yeah, yeah, we gotta close the meeting.
want a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, we
No,
already
we
closed.
had-
the public-
Well, no,
Yeah,
then we have to close the, we have to open the public hearings.
No, well, we had to open, didn't we? I asked to close the public hearing, didn't I?
Yeah, I
Gretchen?
think we already did it.
Oh,
You were busy thinking about the white trillium, Steve.
I think you were. You
Oh.
were obsessing on the white trillium. And you
Oh,
still
all right,
said
yeah.
yes when I asked you to vote.
I'm confused.
Okay.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
Julia,
Yep.
the landfill, Colby Farm Road, or whatever, who
Yeah.
in the city is monitoring what happens there?
That's a good question. What is happening there?
Well, there are trees growing where they shouldn't be, and roots are going to get down through the membrane at some point. So I don't know if that's the city's responsibility or New Ventures still has some responsibility, but
No, that's New Ventures. That's
New Ventures.
Billy Tebow's property.
Yep,
okay, well,
it is still his property, lucky us. The deal with Blue Wave fell through after he convinced DEP to give him all sorts of concessions because he was making the deal with Blue Wave. And the deal with Blue Wave fell through, but he got to keep all of the concessions from DEP.
it's too bad because National Grid installed all the poles and lines for that.
I know.
No. Well, they had to pay for it, so that's their.
Yeah, I'll ask Molly Attenborough and the mayor's office if they have any updates, contacts with yeah.
how
Because
about how about the groundwater monitoring wells on the Little River Trailhead property? The caps on those are pretty damaged and open, you know.
Okay, wait a minute, hold on,
These are the monitoring wells for the landfill that
oh,
are,
yeah. And what road are on, they're on Crow Lane or where they're in?
here,
are
well,
They're at the end of Colby Farm Lane.
At the end, oh, they're right at the end of Colby Farm Lane. And you said they are, sorry, I missed it.
They've been like that for they've been like that for years, actually.
Yeah, they're damaged.
Yeah, something else to get New Ventures to take care of.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
like.
They'll get right to
endless.
it.
Okay, right.
Well, don't we still have an open and enforcement order out there somewhere?
Steve.
Yikes.
That is.
I believe we do.
Another, you're right, we do, but we can, I mean, talk about things that aren't gonna go anywhere. I mean, they've hired people in the past. When we've had some leverage, we've been able to pull that into what we would like them to address, let's say. And then they have like made, taken one half tiny step towards doing something about it and then completely dropped it. And then now at this point, the problem is at this point, we don't have it. I don't know that we have a lot of leverage left. And negotiating with New Ventures is not like negotiating with anybody else.
Well, do we have a new city attorney that might be more
We do.
aggressive?
We do. You know what? That's a great point, Steve. I am actually that is a very good point. I'm gonna talk to Andy about bringing this up, all these issues up with the new attorney to see what they think about it. Although I have to say, I think that, I don't know whether it's fortunately or unfortunately, apparently we do have this new attorney, but that any project, case, etc., that we had underway with the old attorney, Copeland and Page, stays with the old attorney.
Well, they might be more than happy to get rid of it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll ask Andy about it. We have a staff meeting on Thursday. This would be a great topic for discussion. Everyone always loves it when we bring up landfill.
And Steve enjoys poking the bear too.
I know. Like,
Well, I just, there's
like
things
instant
that
headache.
shouldn't be happening. If those tree roots are gonna
Well-
permeate the membrane and then there goes everything, so.
that's a major problem. Those are the types of things that I think we can maybe kind of get them to address. Because they don't want the headache that comes after that. They want to do the minimum, but that might actually be something that they would consider doing. So,
Yeah, and even if it doesn't penetrate the membrane and it goes down and spreads out along the membrane and the tree falls over, all the dirt on top of the membrane comes off.
yeah,
So-
it would be a world of hurt. They wouldn't want it either. So, okay. That's
Alright.
a very good point, Steve. Thank you.
All right, do we have anything else? This meeting went a lot faster than I thought it would.
Yeah.
But can
Well, it
we,
helps to have two continued.
Well, that's why I'm saying,
but can I make a motion to adjourn anyway?
you can make a
Sure.
motion to adjourn at any time, Carol.
Thank you. I move that we adjourn.
Second,
Oh, okay. Roll call. Steve Moore,
yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Okay.
All right,
I will let you know. I'll be in touch over email about a potential next meeting prior to the 18th.
Okay.
What we can happen.
Okay.
very
Thanks,
good.
Right.
everyone.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.